Squared. This is Fiona, and I am so happy that you've decided to join me today for this 20-minute beginner yoga flow focusing on sun salutations, which are essentially the basis of any Vinyasa yoga practice. And what Vinyasa means is linking breath to movement. So we flow from movement to movement. The only equipment you need for this class, hello Charlie, is a mat. So this is Charlie, this is Fiona. Hopefully they will move out of the way for our yoga practice, but you're going to need a mat. Take your shoes off and make sure that you have some space around you to lift the leg up and back, to extend your arms out to the side. And if you enjoy playing music in your classes, now would be the perfect time to go ahead and get your music going. If you need a yoga flow playlist, go ahead and check out my Spotify account. I've linked that in the description below, and I have a lot of yoga themed playlists. Any of them would be perfect for this flow. And I think I forgot to mention at the beginning, and I should have mentioned this, this is part of my Sweat Smart program, which is a 4-week program for beginners and anyone getting back into exercise, just to make that transition safe and to pick up some knowledge that will serve you as you progress along your fitness journey. All right, go ahead and roll out your mat and join me in a cross-legged seat. So sit up nice and straight and tall. Go ahead and close your eyes and bring the backs of your hands to rest on your thighs. Let your shoulders drop down and back in their sockets. And just take a nice deep breath in through your nose, dragging that breath down towards your belly, filling up completely, noticing your rib cage expand. And an open mouth exhale as you empty out of that breath completely. Again, a deeper, fuller inhale, noticing the crown of your head lengthening up towards the ceiling as you bring that breath in. And an open mouth exhale, noticing your belly button pulling back towards your spine as you empty out completely. One more deepest, fullest inhale yet, probably the deepest breath you've taken all day, holding it for just a moment. And the loudest, longest open mouth exhale, sigh it out, let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Seal your lips closed and continue to take these steady inhalations and these powerful controlled exhalations with your lips closed, a slight constriction in the back of your throat, creating an almost ocean-like, maybe Darth Vader here as we start out like sound with your breath. And doing our best to match the count of the inhale to the count of the exhale. And using this breath to stay present in our practice, because after all, right here, right now, is everything. On an inhale, blink your eyes open. Go ahead and come into a tabletop pose. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly, lift your gaze, lift your tailbone. And exhale, cat. Press the mat away from you. Tuck your tailbone or your chin into your chest, tailbone down towards the mat. Inhale, cow. Imagine that you're pulling your palms back towards your knees. Drop your shoulder blades down into their sockets and towards your back pockets, imaginary back pockets. And exhale, cat. Channel that howling, scary cat as you gaze back towards your belly button. We're going to do this 2 more times. Inhale, cow. And use that inhale, the full inhale, to come into your cow pose. And exhale, cat. Press your shins into the mat, keeping the lips sealed. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. On your inhale, come back to that neutral tabletop. Walk your palms out about a palm's distance from where they were and corkscrew your palms into the mat like you were screwing jar lids in. Tuck your toes under, hips back towards heels, and on an exhale breath, downward facing dog. Creating an upside down V with your body. Nice deep bend in the knees here to start. Pressing that mat forward and away from you, really finding length in the upper body, and then beginning to straighten into the legs, finding equal balance between the hands and the feet. Gaze back between your feet or up towards your belly button if that's accessible. And maybe take a couple of petals here, bending deeply into one knee as the opposite heel comes to the mat, and then switching it out. So lengthening and awakening the upper body, stretching the backs of the legs, and finding some quiet with your breath here. Begin to find some steadiness. I like to keep a bend in my knees. If I straighten my knees, my low back is compromised. So if you have tight hamstrings like I do, a nice generous bend in the knees is best for your low back. On an inhale, look forward. And as you exhale, step your feet behind your hands, coming into a nice forward fold. Again, I like to keep my knees bent here. I still feel the stretch in the backs of my legs, and I feel a nice release in my low back. On an inhale breath, we're going to roll up to stand, one vertebra at a time. Tuck your tailbone under, hug your glutes in, crown of the head arrives last. And on an inhale breath, circle, sweep the palms up, overhead, maybe they touch. Becoming really active in the legs here, pressing the four corners of your feet into the mat, giving your quadriceps a squeeze to lift your kneecaps, hugging your glutes and drawing your tailbone down towards the mat. On an exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips, so buns go back, chest lengthens forward, bend in the knees, belly towards the thighs. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, shoulder blades drop back, chest lengthens forward, tailbone back. Exhale, fold, bring your palms to the mat, and we're going to step back to a high plank, top of a push-up. Holding here as you press through your heels, squeeze your quadriceps like we did standing. Lift your hips in line with your shoulders, and come down to your knees, untuck your toes, and with control, slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale, Cobra Pose, lift your chest. Spread your collarbones wide and snuggle your shoulder blades down and back towards those imaginary back pockets. On an exhale breath, press up to a tabletop, tuck your toes, and come into a downward facing dog. We're going to take a couple rounds of breath here, just continuing to move in a way that feels good to you. Maybe you wag your tail side to side, pedal out your feet. Find some stillness. On an inhale breath, gaze forward, and as you exhale, step your feet behind your hands. We're going to repeat that breath to movement. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, and inhale, root through your feet, rise up, mountain pose, Tadasana, palms overhead, maybe they touch. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms, step your left foot, then your right foot back to that high plank. And from your toes or from your knees with control, lower all the way down to your belly, hugging those elbows into the side body. Tops of the feet on the mat, and inhale, Cobra Pose. Maybe working a little bit closer towards straight in the arms. Inhale to lower, and exhale from your knees or your toes, press up to that high plank and downward facing dog. Inhale as you look forward, exhale, step your feet behind your hands, forward fold. Last time through this, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, rise. Tuck your tailbone under as you circle, sweep those fingertips overhead. And exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. And exhale, plant your palms, high plank. So this is called a Vinyasa, when we flow from this high plank down to our belly. And then this time, maybe bring your palms back a little bit and lift a little bit higher. Make sure you're gazing forward and not up towards the ceiling. On an inhale breath, slowly lower. Tuck your toes, press up to your knees, hips back towards heels, downward facing dog. All right, now we're going to move on to what's called a Sun Salutation B. So these are just rounds of breath to movement in a predictable way in most Vinyasa yoga classes. On an inhale breath, gaze forward once again, and as you exhale, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. And this time on our inhale, we're going to come into chair pose. So it's exactly what it sounds like, sitting back in that imaginary chair. Pressing your shins back, making sure you can see your toes when you gaze down. Bring your fingertips to your hip creases and find that slight tuck under in your tailbone. And then extend your arms out, shoulder height. Pinkies turn in, thumbs out. Shoulders draw down away from the ears. And on your next inhale, if you can bring your fingertips up towards the ceiling without wearing your shoulders as earrings, go ahead and extend your fingertips towards the ceiling. But if that happens and you shrug your shoulders, just bring your palms back to shoulder height. And on an exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms, step back, high plank pose. Come down to your knees, untuck your toes, slowly lower, hugging those elbows into the side ribs. And inhale, cobra pose. Tailbone lengthens back, chest lengthens up, gaze is forward. Inhale, lower, and exhale, come through your tabletop into your downward facing dog. Plant your left foot, step your right foot between your hands, spin your left foot flat, and on an inhale breath, come up, warrior one. So if there was a line down the center of your mat, hopefully you can see the line down the center of my mat, this front right heel is in line with the back right heel. But if you can't square your hips forward, like if you had imaginary little headlights on the fronts of those hips, if yours are wonky off to the side, you're just simply going to step that left foot out a little bit to the left. And then those left toes are pointing towards the top left corner of the mat. So hips are level, facing forward, shoulders over the hips. And then go ahead and inhale those fingertips up towards the ceiling, pinkies in, thumbs out, or palms to touch. Exhale, we're going to windmill the palms down to frame that front right foot. Step the foot back into your high plank, nice and powerful here. Drop down to the knees. Exhale, pin the elbows into the sides, slowly lower down to your belly, and inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, up to the knees, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Ground your right foot, inhale, left foot lifts, and exhale, step the left foot between the hands, spin the right foot flat, come up, warrior one. So 90-degree bend in the front left knee, right toes facing the top right corner of the mat. Shoulders down and back away from the ears as you reach the fingertips up overhead. Maybe the palms press. Think about lifting this back right hip up and forward as you hug the left hip back. On your next exhale, with control, windmill the hands to frame the front foot, the left foot, and step back to that high plank. Lower down to your knees for your Vinyasa. Slowly lower down to your belly. And inhale, Cobra Pose. Hug the elbows in like little cricket wings. Exhale, up to tabletop and downward facing dog. We're going to do that exact flow 2 more times, breath to movement. Inhale, breath, gaze forward. Exhale, step your feet behind your hands, forward fold. Lift the backs of your hips up towards the ceiling behind you. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back like you're peeking out over a cliff. Exhale, fold, and inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Should be able to see your toes. Give your quads a squeeze, give your buns a squeeze. Slight tuck under in the tailbone, and then gaze up towards the fingertips. Inhale, exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, palms on the shins. And exhale, plant your palms, high plank. Lower down to your knees, untuck your toes, and all the way down to your belly with control. Inhale, Cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Ground the left foot, inhale the right foot up, and step it between your hands. Spin the back foot flat, and inhale, rise, warrior 1. Exhale, palms to the mat, high plank. Lower to your knees, untuck the toes with control. Belly finds the mat. Inhale, chest lifts, collarbones wide, Cobra Pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, the left leg lifts. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands. Spin the right foot flat. And inhale, rise to warrior 1. Exhale, windmill the palms to the mat. Step the left foot back into high plank. Inhale. And exhale, slowly lower to the belly. Inhale, Cobra Pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, guys, one more time here. Inhale, look forward to your hands. And exhale, step your feet behind your hands, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, powerful core, powerful back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms, high plank. Maybe this time you lower all the way down from your toes without coming to your knees. Pinning those elbows into the side ribs, drawing them back towards your heels. Untuck the toes. Inhale, Cobra Pose. It is challenging. Exhale, downward facing dog. A lot of upper body strength. Ground the left foot. Inhale, right foot lifts and steps between the hands. Spin the left foot flat and inhale, rise, warrior 1. Exhale, windmill the palms. Step back to high plank, and from your toes or from your knees, slowly lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale, Cobra Pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, guys, last side. Inhale, left leg extends. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands. Spin the right foot flat. And inhale, come up to warrior 1. Exhale, windmill the palms. Our last vinyasa, high plank. Inhale, shift forward from your knees or from your toes. And with control, lower to your belly. Inhale, Cobra Pose. Pull those palms back isometrically. Lower on your exhale and come back to downward facing dog. Let's take 5 rounds of breath here in this downward facing dog. Creating length in the upper body first by bending the knees and bringing the hips back towards the heels. Inhale in that length. And exhale, begin to straighten into the legs, downward facing dog. Noticing how different you feel here from the first downward facing dog of the class. Being powerful in that upper body, shoulder blades drawing away from the ears, and then coming down to your knees. And we're going to shift onto one hip, and we're going to come down onto our back here at last, right? So heels on the mat. Go ahead and extend your arms out and slowly lower down one vertebra at a time. Bring your heels in towards your hips. And we're going to create a figure 4 with the right knee. So the right ankle crosses in front of the left knee. And that outer right knee is working in the direction of the top right corner of the mat. You can stay here, or if you'd like to take this a little bit deeper into a right hip stretch, we're going to lift the left foot away from the mat, coming into a figure 4, thread the needle. So we're going to take our hands, right hand into the figure 4, left hand around the back of the hamstring, interlace the fingers behind that left leg, and you're going to begin to gently guide that left knee and the right ankle in towards your chest as you simultaneously think about continuing to press the right knee open, or maybe you can use the right elbow to guide the right knee in. This is also called supine figure 4, supine pigeon, meaning supine on our backs, and this is a pigeon pose. And then keep the figure 4, bring the left foot back to the mat. We're going to goalpost our arms, exactly like goalposts or a cactus. And we're going to take a gentle twist over towards the left. So the left knee and the right foot are going to find the mat on the left. Continue opening that left knee. And then your gaze can go out towards your right hand or up towards the ceiling. And then on an exhale breath, carefully come back to center, uncross the ankle, hug the knees into the chest, and just kind of rock side to side to reset your back. Soles of both feet on the mat. We're going to come into that figure 4 on the left. So the left ankle crosses in front of the right knee. Bring your mind to the outside of this left knee, and open it towards the front left corner of the mat. You can stay here, or you can thread the needle, bringing the left hand into the figure 4, the right hand behind the hamstring, and interlacing the fingers. Shoulders stay down, the back of the neck is relaxed, so we're not choking up here, pulling the knee and the foot into the chest. It's a very gentle stretch. And then just think about guiding your breath into that outer left hip. And again, maybe you use the left elbow to gently coax the left knee open just a bit more. Staying connected to your breath, lips are still sealed. Steady inhales and powerful exhales. And then when you feel even on both sides, unclasp the hands, come into a cactus or goalpost with the arms. And the right knee and the left foot come to the right side of the mat, feeling that stretch still in that outer left hip. And then depending on what feels right for your neck, your gaze is either up or out towards the left. And then carefully make your way onto your back. Uncross the leg with an exhale breath. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Bring the soles of your feet together to touch, so creating like a diamond butterfly shape here. And then bringing your hands to the outside pinky edges of your feet. We're going to open up into what's called a dead bug, happy baby pose, doing your best to keep your low back flat on the mat. So maybe you reach for your calves rather than your feet, because if you feel yourself crunching up and tensing, that's counterproductive. We want to be able to keep our breath slow and steady, gentle movement. And then go ahead and hug your knees in towards your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins and draw your forehead towards your knees, taking the deepest inhale you've taken yet today. And an open mouth exhale as you come into Shavasana, which is also called corpse pose. It's a final posture in yoga. Your heels are towards the wider edges of the mat. Arms are long by your side, palms facing up. Give a little press into the back of your head and snuggle your shoulder blades in towards one another. Come back to a natural rhythm of breath here and allow yourself to be heavy and to take up space and just to be. Think about that. Allow yourself just to be. You've worked through your postures, you've connected to your breath. The breath to movement is a moving meditation. Now the mind is calm, the body can be calm, and we'll just reap the benefits of the physical practice here for a few moments longer. And I always like to say that if you have the gift of time, a 5 or 10 minute Shavasana feels so good. If you're ready to move on, just begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, stretch your arms overhead, make you rock your head side to side as you find as much space between your fingers and your toes as you can. You're going to roll onto your right side, coming into a supported fetal position. Charlie, so I'm going to move into a supported fetal position here so you can see me. So the knees are bent, your head is resting on your right bicep, your left palm is resting on the mat. And just take in a nice deep breath here of this space, both mentally and physically, that you created through this practice. And press up to a cross-legged seat. And I want you to think about taking this space, this feeling off the mat with you and applying it to the remainder of your day, the remainder of your week, and coming back to your breath when things get tough. Maybe taking a few 2-minute breathing breaks during your week when things are difficult, and just noticing the difference that you feel. Everyone, thank you for practicing with me. I will see you back here again very soon. And until then, be good to yourself. Look for the good in the world. And if you can't find it, make it. Thank you. I will see you soon.